Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's kick off today's video with a late-night gas station showdown, an overnight cashier, a lotto-obsessed Karen, and one gloriously petty plot twist that ends with police lights. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Refuse to break the law for an entitled customer. I'm an overnight cashier at a gas station. Pretty chill most nights. There's a few bad apples, as always, but nothing too bad. Every now and then, I'll get an entitled customer that demands I sell them beer without an ID, against state law, wouldn't dream of it. Or sell them cigarettes despite being 20. Sorry, kids, not happening. One lady, though, she really got under my skin. Happened a while back. She comes in around 11:30, so well past time we shut down lottery. We turn off the machine at 10 as per our store regulations. There's a ton of updates the machine undergoes nightly, and it takes 6 to 7 hours. I keep an eye on her and notice she has one of the ball draw style lotto cards in her hand. I call out and explain that our machine's off for the night, so I can't sell her the tickets. She scoffs loudly and says I'm lying and don't want to do my job. I reiterate that the machine is already undergoing maintenance, so she'll have to return at 5 a.m. when the machine is ready for service. She throws the ticket on the ground and stomps to the beer. I'm already annoyed, and in my head, I know I'll make sure my coworker takes care of her next time. I don't want to deal with this drama. She comes back to the counter, beer cans in tow, and slams them on the counter. I grab one to scan and ask for her ID. Lady once again scoffs and asks if it's really necessary. She has wrinkles older than me. I explain that it's store policy and state law to see ID for alcohol purchases. We go back and forth for 5 minutes. It only ends when I tell her she can either give me the ID so I can do my job, or she can leave beerless and lottoless. She passes me her ID, face bright red, and the lady just starts going off at this point, saying I need to lose my job. My manager, whom she called by name, would be so upset to hear how I'm treating a regular. I write my name, my manager's free time for the next day, and tell her she's free to come in and complain about me doing my job. It'll go absolutely great for her. She snatches the paper and starts asking me to sell her cigarettes. I tell her I'm not selling her anything else, as she has repeatedly made me uncomfortable, and I have the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason. She leaves screaming that she's going to come back and kick my butt. I leave a long text to my managers in the group chat explaining what happened, along with a description of her. A couple hours later, some of my regulars come in for their nightly coffees. 2 of the local sheriffs, I give them the rundown of what transpired, and one of them promises to swing through a few times for a few nights to make sure she's not causing trouble. Here's where I get petty. She had parked at the front of the store. I had a perfect view of her license plate, so I took note and waited. Lady shows up 2 nights later and parks by the dumpster. She's standing on the sidewalk for 2 hours waiting for me to come outside. About an hour in, I call the tow service our store uses. I say there's a broken down car in our parking lot in prime parking position as per rules. Cops come through, as they always do, for coffee, and they ask me if she's the customer harassing me. I confirm it. They go out and talk to her. At this point, the tow truck pulls in. Lady starts walking away from the cops to talk to the driver, confused and pissed. I didn't get to hear much of the encounter, but I watched as she got arrested, put in the back of the patrol car, and they waited for the tow truck to finish hauling off her car before leaving. No idea what happened to her. She hadn't come back in, and I didn't get in trouble with management. Gotta be honest, I have a lot of respect for you guys and girls that do jobs like this. I have no idea how you keep your head. The only way this would have been better is if you had picked up the lottery ticket she threw on the floor and won some money off it. And our second story. How I got back at my two-faced coworker. So I work in an office where one of my coworkers, Kelly, has basically made an art form out of being two-faced. Around our manager, she's the absolute golden child. Helpful, efficient, organized to a fault, but the second he's out of sight, she transforms into the office's biggest slacker. She spends half the day gossiping, the other half pawning off her last-minute tasks onto the rest of us under the guise of being too busy managing higher priorities. And who usually got stuck with her leftovers? You guessed it, me. This little game of hers started seriously impacting my own work. I was constantly scrambling to meet my own deadlines after spending time bailing her out. Meanwhile, she'd breeze through the week getting praise for being so on top of everything. It was maddening. I confronted her a couple of times, but she always played innocent. "Oh, I thought you had more bandwidth," or "I must have misunderstood, sorry," all with that fake wide-eyed expression. She wasn't fooling anyone except the person who actually mattered, our manager. If I couldn't call her out directly without looking like the office drama starter, I figured I'd have to make her slip up on her own game. And trust me, I knew exactly how to do it. Kelly took her reputation for being the most organized person in the office very seriously. Her desk was a shrine to perfection. Color-coded folders lined up like little soldiers, neatly labeled with precise handwriting. It was practically her personality trait. So one afternoon when she went out for her usual 2-hour quick lunch, I made my move. Nothing drastic, just subtle sabotage. I switched a few folder labels and quietly shuffled some critical project documents into the wrong places. Not enough to make it look intentional, but enough to throw her off when it mattered most. Fast forward to our next team meeting, the manager asked for her updates on a couple of projects, and sure enough, Kelly turned to her prized filing system and couldn't find a thing. She was visibly panicking, frantically flipping through her folders while everyone sat in awkward silence. I couldn't resist. I leaned over and offered a sweet, oh-so-helpful, "Maybe you misfiled them." The glare she shot me could have cut steel. But the real win? For the first time, our manager looked genuinely annoyed at her. For the rest of the week, Kelly went into a tailspin, spending hours reorganizing her entire system and muttering under her breath like she was on the verge of a breakdown. And you know what? Not a single stray task landed on my desk after that. Petty? Absolutely. But in an office where image is everything, sometimes you've got to let people trip over their own self-importance. And watching Kelly's perfectly curated facade crack, worth every second. Glad it worked out. I'm sure it felt good, but I definitely wouldn't have said, "Maybe you misfiled them." If you do something malicious like that, keep your mouth shut and take it to the grave. And our last story. Neighbor kept vandalizing my car. Now she's jobless, carless, and homeless. Back in mid-June, my friends and I planned a long overdue beach party. Perfect weather, great company, and not a single thought about anything other than soaking up the sun. My car, as always, was parked neatly in the driveway, minding its own business. When I got home, sandy and sun-kissed, I went out to load some things for an upcoming week-long trip. That's when I saw it. 3 deep horizontal scratches slashed across the back hatch. And not just faint marks, I'm talking gouges you could lose a fingernail in. Now, anyone who knows me knows my car is my pride and joy. I'm meticulous with it. Hand washes, regular waxing, even one of those little dashboard sunscreens like it's some rare antique. Those scratches? They were definitely not there when I left that morning. I was fuming, but the clock was ticking for my trip. I figured I'd deal with it when I got back, hoping I'd cool off by then. Life, of course, had other plans. Right after I returned, I had to go in for surgery, which left me stuck at home and unable to drive for about a month. While recovering, I pulled my car all the way up to the driveway to make space for friends and family who stopped by to help out. Finally, when I could drive again, I parked my car right back in its usual spot. And wouldn't you know it, new scratches, fresh scuff marks right where the old ones had been repaired. And this time, I caught the villain in the act, clear as day. My neighbor Karen, yes, her real name might as well have been Karen, casually strolling by with her oversized purse and grocery bags, deliberately dragging them across the back of my car like she was performing some twisted ritual. She gave me this smug little glance like I couldn't do a thing about it. That was the final straw. That same day, I ordered a full set of security cameras. I wasn't playing around anymore. And those cameras, they paid for themselves within minutes of going up. Right there on the footage, Karen dressed like she was off to brunch with Satan himself, strutting past my car and dragging her hand across it like some Bond villain petting a cat. She didn't even try to hide it. Straight to the police I went, armed with video evidence that might as well have come with a dramatic soundtrack. Karen admitted to it immediately when confronted, promised to pay for the damages, and even acted all sweet about it. Total bill with repairs and a rental car during the fix, $3,127.72. She said she'd handle it right away. Guess what? She ghosted me. So off to small claims court I went, filed the paperwork, presented the footage, every receipt, and the full statement. She didn't even bother to respond to the court summons. When the hearing came, I showed up fully prepared like I was auditioning for a courtroom drama. Karen tried to show up and play the victim, claiming she left a check in my mailbox and that it must have just disappeared into the void. The judge wasn't buying her nonsense for a second. The court scheduled a follow-up hearing for the judgment, but then here's where it gets really good. A few days later, I got a call from her so-called friend. This woman practically begged me to settle quietly because Karen's landlord had caught wind of all the chaos and had issued her a formal eviction notice. Turns out my landlord and hers are golfing buddies. Word travels fast when you're on everyone's bad side. The pressure finally broke her. The very next day, Karen showed up at my door, teary-eyed and dramatic with a cashier's check in full and an apology letter so over the top, I swear it belonged in a Hallmark movie. It was all "I've reflected deeply on my actions and I hope someday you can forgive me" level nonsense. I took the check, smiled, and closed the door. The check cleared the next morning. And the cherry on top, Karen moved out within the month. No more drama, no more late night stomping up and down the driveway, no more mysterious scratches appearing on my car. The camera's still up, but now they're more for peace of mind than anything else. And my driveway, quieter and more peaceful than it's ever been. Stay winning, my friends, and remember, never underestimate the power of a well-placed security camera and a little patience. What a deliciously clean-cut karmic arc. There's something extra satisfying about an antagonist who's both brazen enough to vandalize broad daylight and sloppy enough to do it on camera twice. Karen managed to hit the trifecta of suburban self-destruction, criminal mischief, civil liability, and finally an eviction, courtesy of the neighborhood grapevine. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.